I would like to call this meeting for the Worcester Arts Council to go at 6:08. Awesome. I'm going to pull up the agenda for today. Got so many things open right now. Should have been more prepared on that. All right. Oh, there it is. That new agenda. Okay. Can we go through the minutes that was sent via email? Does anybody have any questions or any issues with the minutes from the last meeting that we had? No? Okay. Sorry, I've got my Zoom in a separate section, so I've got to like move everything back and forth. So, all right. So if there is no issue with that, can I get a motion to approve the minutes from last meeting?
Motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Oh. All right. All in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? All right. Cool. Minutes are a go. I need a second screen. Okay. All right. We don't have anybody for the public, so we'll go ahead and move on past that. The budget was also sent via email. I know that it's a hodgepodge of stuff, but were there any questions in regards to the budget, or does anybody have any anything we need to talk about? Anything that popped out at you? No? Okay. It looks like right now we're sitting at if I'm reading it right, the actual available balance of 14,000 right now, 14,203. Can I get a motion to approve the current budget as it stands?
Motion.
Okay. Second?
Second.
Got it. All right, cool. All vote for approval. Everyone, aye or yay? Yay. Anybody want to vote against it? All right, then that is good as well. Cool. I'm just going to go past the chair privilege section. There's not really much that I want to say other than the Out to Lunch series has been really beneficial, I think, for us in a lot of ways, not just in getting more people to fill out the surveys, which has been great to see more people doing, but also just to let people in the community see what it is that we do, who we are. If you guys have any time, I know a lot of you guys are all busy, but if you ever find yourself having time on a Wednesday, I really encourage you to pull through. Like I would love to have people volunteer at the table as well, but even if you just have space to like walk through and see it, it's a really good event. I think that the downtown bid has done a great job with it. And events like that, I think I would love to see more of us supporting. So yeah, moving on to the next thing, social media. So I've been trying to figure out how to grow the amount of people who are filling out the surveys. Honestly, the survey part is the most important part to me in this for this topic, but also I think that us having a constant posting period for regular posts on our accounts would do us well, just to remind people what it is that we're doing, what's going on, and what we're funding. With everything that's happening in the world today, and funding getting cut in a lot of places, I do have a fear that while I'm not seeing it for this next grant cycle, I am afraid that if the current decisions keep on the way they are, that future grant cycles will see less money coming in. And so I think doing it up right now and letting the community see all the stuff that we're putting money to now will be good if if we're looking at a year with less money, so that the community knows that we can be trusted with more money if we're asking for it, post, maybe a lighter year of funding. So because of that, I feel I had a really good talk with Fabian, had a good talk with Lisa. And Lisa handled a lot of the social media with the Worcester Arts Council in the past. She was here for us, for a lot of us when we were coming on, and she does a really great job with what she does. She's really professional about this specific thing, especially. So I had a really great talk with her, and she still loves Worcester Arts Council, and she would love to be a part of it, and help out. Obviously, she's really busy now that she does a lot of this stuff with the downtown bid. So we discussed kind of a price point of what it would look like to have her on board, and she floated $500 a month, which honestly, for someone at her level, is, in my opinion, like a steal. Like, she's obviously giving us a sweetheart deal on this. But 500 a month with the agreed idea that it's going to be 6 months. So basically setting aside $3,000 out of the budget that we have right now to go to pay for Lisa to take over our social media so that we have more space to focus on the things that are most important to us. So I wanted to kind of bring that out, and kind of open up a discussion for everybody. I want to hear people's opinions, their thoughts. So yeah, I'm just going to let that out on the table for y'all.
Sounds good to me. I don't know this Lisa person, but if you vouch for her, I mean, like, I just don't know her. So I'm taking your word on it that she knows what she's doing. Sounds good to me.
Yeah, so just kind of a background thing. So she was on the Worcester Arts Council, prior to me, and prior to a lot of us. Like, I think I want to say she was on the Arts Council 2 years ago, maybe a little bit longer too, before that. But she handled all the like the posts on social. She designed the brand guidelines, and
Nice.
kind of like the brand Bible for what we already work with. So she was ingrained in like the start of all this stuff.
What's her last name? Just so I can add it to the minutes.
Oh, Lisa Mallow.
Mallow.
I believe it's just Mallo,
Okay.
but I
One
can get
L,
this one. Oh,
One
it's one
L
L. Thank you.
and a W or no W?
no W,
No W.
just
Mall.
MAL. Oh, yep.
Got it.
Victor.
Yeah, so you might have just by mistake answered one of my questions, which was, do we have a brand guideline? Like, I've never seen our brand book, what it looks like, what our voice is, how to use the logo, things of that nature. So it'd be good to see that if we do have it, which could then be supportive in how we promote the work on social media. Because I would never want to promote something on my page or my business's page that says, "Oh, here's the whack entity, but through a different voice and tone, right?"
Mhm.
So that's a good thing. And then secondly, if we're going to give someone $500 a month, what does that entail? So if we could see the package before we approve, how many posts per week, what's our reach, what are the guarantees? Because we could give someone that and then not have any engagement, and that's the focus. So maybe creating what our expected outcomes are and having that in the contract that when we bring this person in.
Yeah,
I
no,
think I met her once, but I know that's how we've established contracts in the past with other folks I've worked with.
no, I think that's a great point. So, just to kind of go over what was sent to me, so 3 to 5 feed posts a week on Facebook and Instagram, including a combination of reposted content and original content, updating all the whack Instagram story highlights, The weekly engagement, replying to comments and DMs, liking and commenting on other posts, things like that. Designing social graphics as needed for community input, funding priorities, grant applications, open grant workshops, etc. She'll also be handling email, so writing, designing, and setting up 1 to 2 emails for the community input survey, grant workshops, and when the grant applications open, so that we have all that stuff set up and ready to go whenever those things start. And then also some PR work, writing 1 press release for each of the following things: a community input survey, and when the 2026 grant applications are officially opened. So that's the bulk of what it is she does. And currently our social is, I would say, like, we've been getting some stories up, but it's sporadic, at best. And like, part of that is because, I'm busy with a lot of other things. I know that other people are busy with things. And so if we're not going to have, if I can't actually do it myself, like if I can't do it myself, if we can't get them done, I think in every 3 to 5, like a week, I think it would behoove us to bring someone on to do that for us and just knock that stuff out. And I think having Amanda on the team, then we have a point person for the Worcester Arts Council to interact with Lisa, and Amanda and I, and whoever ends up being on the social media committee, we can just design kind of like more of a content calendar or expectation. Like, this is what we want to see. We want to see you focus, or can you focus on, here's this artist that we've given money to. Can you interview them or send them messages and come up with posts for the next week to highlight them? And then she can handle all the background work for us. But we still kind of retain a little bit more of that like guidance part. But that's a good question. Anybody, or good points as well. Anybody else have any other questions or points or anything that we want to talk about with that?
So the goal is really just to revitalize the presence and to try to grow the amount of people paying attention to it.
Great question. I think for me, the immediate goal is to increase the amount of surveys we get. I would really love to see that happen. And when Lisa was the one handling it with prior Worcester Arts Councils, we're sitting at about 2,000 or so survey responses. We're sitting, like we said earlier, we're sitting around 100. So there were some things that she was doing right that I don't know I don't personally know how, like, what was being done to make that response happen at such a level, but
yeah, that's odd.
it's a jump.
Well, I'm curious about that. That seems odd.
Yeah, and like, I mean, they're real people. Like their point. I think there was a time at one point where they had a bunch of yard signs, with a QR code that would send everybody to it, and they were able to put those yard signs up everywhere around the city. The problem is we don't know where the yard signs are, and so that aspect of what was done in the past just kind of floated away from previous councils.
Does it get sent? Does the survey get sent to everybody who's been funded or has applied? It does. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I sent it out to maybe like the last 4 years of people that we've funded.
Okay, great.
So yeah.
Yeah, so it does. Okay.
And I know that today for the Worcester Cultural Coalition, the email that went out, it was the first part of the email reminding people. So those are going to be people who are ingrained in the arts, active, wanting to be a part of it. So hopefully we see more movement from that.
Yeah. If we got very strong responses sorry, my phone slipped, from the survey, what is our process to like actually make changes? was curious about that because I was just thinking about things from my standpoint about applications, reports, that kind of thing. Do we have the ability to do that? Is that something that has to go through MCC? Is it?
In what, just some, clarity, changes to what part?
I don't know. I was, one of the things that I find really confusing in the application is there's a lot of questions that sort of circle back in on one another. So like you have this thing about, well, is this for K through 12? I think it gets really confusing because we get applications from so many different things, but then there's sort of this like, you think there's an arts ed focus, but then our reporting is all about, it's all events related. It just feels a little confusing to me.
Gotcha.
Somebody who's been on both sides of it and is, also written into the reports and things. And then, the whole thing about, well, you got to have a flyer. Well, what if it's not a flyer event? You know what I mean? It's just like there seems to be a little bit of confusion in my brain about where, and I think we talked about this a little bit in the past too when we
Yeah.
went through that application process before, because it's, the breadth of what people are asking for. It's very difficult to kind of figure out where we're supposed to focus. If we got street festivals and we've got some people that I think fall under humanities, and so I don't know that there's an answer to that. I was just curious if, where, if we needed to make or if we wanted to make changes, how do we go about that?
I think one of the first things in regards to, I mean, we'll table the other topic real quick, but as far as the surveys are or the applications are concerned, I think one of the first steps that will be important for us is to figure out what is it that the MCC is asking, their own personal applications.
Yeah.
And what is it that we've added on top of that for the Worcester Arts Council?
Okay.
And then once we separate what we've added on top of it, I think it's important for us to be like, what is being required on us by the city? And then what has been placed by previous councils that may not be meaningful or may not be worthwhile to us anymore.
Yeah, I agree. That would be super helpful.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be because like those applications are going to be going up. Time will fly by really
Yeah.
fast.
Oh, I know. Yeah, we're not gonna have any time.
So I think that there's a hope in me that says I would love to have that prepared and ready for the 2026 grant cycle. The realist in me in the back of my head is just saying, yeah, that's a 2027 thing. And that's gonna be something that we probably are working on while the old one's already out, the old application's already out. And then we're fixing it up to make it better for 2027.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I suppose the other thing, and maybe this sort of circles back to the survey and the low response, is even the fact that like we're having trouble getting people on the council. It's that's probably pretty telling right there.
I think that there's people that are wanting to come in. I think everybody's having a hard time getting anybody on one. I'm gonna try to be as political as I can about this. Every group in the city is having a hard time finding people to fill in slots. There are also powers at play that are being very cautious about their choices, about who they let go and who they push through the process. I think that the process for bringing people onto the council has been changed a bit, where people no longer, at least for this one, no longer have to wait to go all the way up to Eric Batiste, which I think is going to cut off some time, which will be great, and we'll see more activity.
Okay.
And I know that we have 2 people who are going to be interviewing with Fabian within this week and next week.
Yeah.
So I know that part's going to be fixed.
Yeah.
I also think, and this is just me kind of feeling the vibes of people in general, overall, I think the people who would be the ones to want to volunteer are already volunteering in so many other capacities. And I think people are feeling a lot more burnout. It's easier for us to feel the burnout when you look at how the world is going, specifically the American part of the world. And I do not judge people for wanting to just do a job and go home. Not saying you are, I'm just saying I think that that's where people are right now, because I've talked to so many people who even 6 months ago seemed more gung-ho to want to do this stuff and want to be a part of the council
Uh,
and to be a part of subcommittees.
yeah.
To check back in with them and have them go, I can't because blah. Like, and
Oh,
everybody, they're like, I'm just not feeling it anymore. Like,
yeah. I think some of my experiences actually people are a little more fired up to do something because what can you do in this atmosphere? One of the things
yeah.
that I feel like, as we're talking about marketing and social media and raising presence and stuff, I think it's really difficult because I remember when I was trying to, when I was had interest in being on the council, it's hard to find out how to do that because we don't have a dedicated website. And I think it's a really, that's not something that obviously, if we're going to hire somebody to do all this social media, but we have no website to drive people to. And I think that's problematic. It's not easy to figure out how to get on
Mhm.
the council. And then I think it's detrimental to if we are really trying to, if what we're trying to do is raise our profile or have these places, we just don't have a place to send people. All we have is this sort of a social media presence that kind of comes and goes, but there's no home for. So
I mean, there is
Yeah.
a section on the city website.
yeah, there's a on the city website, but it's difficult to find and
Hmm.
confusing. And also it just, again, it feels like, well, definitely people on the Worcester Arts Council board are asked to do far more than any other is. So if we're sort of almost becoming the volunteer staff, which we kind of are being asked to by these, monthly meetings and all of that, it seems like it would be helpful to have a dedicated presence. And again, I know this is all like at some point, but I think all of these problems circle in on themselves. You
Mhm.
Potentially.
No, I think you're hitting around some proper areas and some things that we've talked about in the past. And I know that I'm continuing to have conversations with people and wanting to see those things, certain things fixed. I think having a dedicated website would be a great step for us in the right direction. Um, but until we can get that, having to circle back to what we were talking about earlier, having someone like Lisa in, we can be like, hey, of those 5 posts that you're doing every week, can we designate one of those posts every week or every other week to be, have you ever thought about serving on a council on the council? Or have you seen these things that we're doing? Do you want to be involved? And starting to opening up a conversation where we're like putting clear links to that place with the city website, at least for right now, where people can click in,
Yeah.
fill out the information, and get that conversation started. We could even have her say like, hey, are you thinking about joining the council? Do you have any questions? And like part of her thing is the agreement that she would field all those questions and then be like the that immediate go-between. So if there are any questions that she can't answer, she can always come to us with.
Okay, so she'd be hired out. Yeah, okay. That kind of makes sense. I've been thinking because we had talked about strategic planning and things, and I was thinking a lot
Yeah.
just, you know, obviously there's so many moving parts and things, but it seems like we're at an inflection point as well right now because we're small and we're not getting the responses we want. So maybe this is the point to think, okay, well, where do we really need to focus in and then kind of build back? But
Yeah, I
obviously,
think that's kind of, I agree. That's kind of where I'm at. It's weird because like when just to be forthright with everybody, when I came on and I said, sure, I'll be the chair, like I had a lot of ideas and a lot of goals of what I wanted this to look like. And I was operating from a mindset, just to be honest with everybody, I was operating from a mindset where I run an event business and it's my business and I get to work at the speed that I want to work. And I don't have to worry about bureaucracy. I don't have to worry about waiting for the next month to ask permit, to talk with a group of people and vote on something to maybe might make something happen. And so I'm learning a new process of how do you plan ahead so much so when you do have that monthly meeting, you're making decisions that will impact the next 4 or 5 months ahead of you.
Mhm.
So it's a complete shift for how I've operated things in my life. So
Mhm.
um just to kind of like bear myself a little bit and just be honest, like that's kind of what I'm learning at this point. It's
Sure.
It's a new lesson for me.
Well, it's a lot. And I've been on arts councils before. I've never been on one where it was almost like the expectation is we become staff rather than we're really running through that grants process. So I don't know if that's just something particular to Worcester, or if that's a mass. Well, I know it because I've done it in Massachusetts before. So I don't think it's necessarily a Massachusetts Cultural Council thing. And it'd be an interesting question for Fabian because I feel like there are, there's also other organizations. How do we fit into that? Maybe they're better equipped because they actually have staff for it, where we're all here and doing other things.
And I think part of that too might just be a little bit of the fact that when a lot of us hopped onto this board, there wasn't a lot of like leadership that had the experience to tell us what past groups had done and how it can look.
Sure,
And
yeah.
I think that we're learning like as things go, and like something that I've been reminded of from other people is like, just remember like to keep the main thing the main thing. And the main thing for us is to make sure that we help the grants move to the people who are doing cool stuff in our city.
Yep. I absolutely agree. I think that's the thing is if we drill right down, it's like, where should our attention be dispersing those funds in an equitable manner and doing that. So it feels like all the other things, and there's so few of us. And then, and it's a lot to ask everybody on top of their jobs and things to be able to do all that. So I kind of wonder if that's where, pulling back and really saying, okay, our focus right now is getting enough people to understand these funds are there and really trying to bring them in to the application process.
And I think that's kind of where my brain is moving right now, to be like, okay, this is the main thing. What are the best tools that we're going to be able to have? Like, especially since a lot of us are doing so many other like great things for the city. How do we keep the main thing the main thing? And so for me, the answers I'm seeing and that I'm bringing to you guys, and I like, again, I'm loving this conversation. So the answers to me are having a designated person to really hammer in the messaging about the survey so that we understand what the community at large wants us to do, what they want us to fund. And then two, to start or continue the process or further the process of recruitment. And I think if we highlight the surveys, into recruitment information, and then once the apps are going and also workshop information to get people prepared for the applications. And when the applications go, we're talking about the applications, we're hitting that home every single time. And then when the applications are done, we're letting people know and being as transparent as possible. This is what the process is going to look like. You'll hear from us by this point. We love you all. And now back to your regular scheduled programming. And then we all go into our cave of wonders and we're like, cool, we're talking about all this grant stuff. We're talking about the high stuff. Like, this is where that money's going. This is where this money's going. And then we make the announcement and then we go back in time, or we go back to the recruitment, and also survey. And like, that is the core of this council. And while other councils can do other things, and I'm at fault at this, I'm going to own that one. While I saw other things that we could do and was trying to get excited about that stuff, as well as I want to make sure that our core is taken care of. And so right now, to me, I'm just trying to make sure I'm doing proper foundational work. And I think Lisa will be a good part to that, to at least take some of the aspects of it so that we can put the other energies like into the workshops, because we're going to have to talk about that in the next meeting coming up. So especially if things with the art museum, which I'll give everybody an update later, if that keeps going the way it is, we're going to have to at least do one workshop at the art museum this year, just to let people know what it is, what that program is going to be. And that's going to add some extra steps, I think, not to us, but just to those people applying, because now they're going to have, like, people are going to want to reach out to the museum and get letter of intent like the letters saying that they're willing to work with them as well. So like we need to make sure that people are up to date on that, but we'll talk more about that later. Yeah, so that's just that. Anybody else have any other questions though? Like this is good. I'm liking I'm liking this back and forth. So all right. If nobody has anything, I would like to put in motion if we could get a vote to finance having Lisa come in and take with what everything she put that I read earlier, her taking the reins of our social media presence and kind of being our mouthpiece to the community and helping us get more surveys done and getting the word out about the applications when those go live. So can I get a motion to vote on that? Or do we need a motion to vote on that? I'm trying to remember.
Motion.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
Second.
Cool. All right. So now we're going to vote if we want to bring Lisa on as our social media person for that $3,000. It's $500 every for the 6 months. So if you are down for that, can I get a raising of a hand if you're here for that? And then Amanda, I don't know if your hands
She
raised.
raised her hand.
Oh, she did. Oh, cool. Awesome. Anybody opposed? Cool. All right. So that one's going to go through and I will let Lisa know and she will start tonight. So, next thing is surveys. We talked a bit about it. I shared the link with everybody in that email. If you need the link or if you need anything else, let us know. If you have any other ideas on how to get the surveys out, I am all ears. Maybe it might behoove us with that QR code that we have. I know something that I've done in the past with QR codes, put no information on it, just make a QR code sticker or tape it into like a bathroom stall at like a club or something like that. And the amount of people that will click through is phenomenal. So
Back to our brand and messaging guidelines. I don't know. We're supposed to put QR codes in public. Like, see what I'm saying? Like, I don't know.
I mean, that's real. I'm just throwing it out there, just one random idea, concept. But if anybody has any ideas, though, like I am all ears right now because I think for me, it's like I know that we talked about this earlier, this being a core part of who we are, but I want to make sure that the people who are living in Worcester like see the cool stuff that Worcester people are doing, and I want them to like have a voice with that. So any and all ideas I'm here for. If there are events happening that you think that maybe we can show up to, like I can make space and I can go table, or I can just go and hand out slips of paper that have the QR code. Let me know. You don't have to even it doesn't have to be here. If you think of something, bar mitzvah and then it's open for people to like me to come in, that's cool too. Shoot me an email, just say, hey Chris, here's this event, it's a family reunion, you should go crash it. Awesome. I'm there.
I'll be oh, go ahead, Jen.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, sending it to, leaders of the organizations and asking them to share it with their constituencies through newsletters. And, they all have communication tools.
Yeah.
They're all invested because, they would like to see that. So I think going through the artistic community would be helpful.
I think that's a good idea. Like, Meg, I think you and we can work on a, just kind of like an email that we can send like with a more of a personal touch. Like paragraphs 2 and 3 are boilerplate, and then paragraph 1, like I can write just like a little like, hey, you guys are doing amazing stuff at this place. I particularly love this. Would love your feedback and all the people who work in your organizations.
And I'm curious, I haven't noticed, but does it go with what Fabian said, oh God, what is that? It goes out and it gives all the events and the things that are going on in the city. Does it go out in that?
The newsletter, yeah, it just went out this morning and it was like a pretty top level, like within the first couple paragraphs.
Okay. Yeah, because then it's hitting a great point there.
What about, whatchamacallit, the Worcester Arts Museum? Would they be willing to send this out to their members, do you think? Is it too early to like push on
Honestly,
them to send
I
stuff
could
out for to their
easily,
members?
no, I can easily ask Molly to do that.
Okay.
So they hired Molly not too long ago to handle all the community like connect points. So that's who I've been talking to about the stuff that we've been working on. So I think that's an easy ask.
Yeah.
I'm also heading down to Electric Haze. I go every Wednesday to the Space Jam, and I'm now selling food there with a friend of mine. So I'll make
Oh,
sure to put the
nice.
QR code on our table as well.
Very cool. Um, awesome. Anybody else have any other thoughts on surveys though before we move on? Nope. Okay. So out to lunch, I already spoke about a bit about that in earlier. But if you have the space, if you have the ability, would love to have you out and table with us. Got some things on how I'd probably change it in the future. But we'll once the out to lunch series ends, we'll address that in a future meeting where I kind of give my views on it and hear what everybody else thinks to that. But if you have space, we'd love to see you. The next one is fellowship changes. Basically with this, what I would love for us to start thinking about, we don't have to make any decisions tonight, but I would love for us to start thinking about how we treat the fellowship recipients. I know with other organizations, when someone gets the fellowship is supposed to be seen as I don't want to say premier, but like a high tier, like this is an entrustment to you as an individual that you're going to continue to grow your craft and impact the city. We don't ask a lot from you like we do with the project grants. And so I think that one of the things that we should consider adding as part of this stipulations or like the rules of receiving a fellowship grant is, and I think this will help for future groups, for during like the grant reception, everyone who receives a fellowship comes up and talks a bit about the impact of that fellowship grant. So that's kind of something I've been mulling over in my head. I don't think it's asking too much to ask for them to give with the amount of money that we give them when with like the freedom that we give them as well. I don't think it's asking too much to get in front of a group of people and say, this is how I spent the money.
I mean, I'd love to go on the record of saying I do not understand the fellowship. I don't know why we do it. And I don't know why we're taking money away from, grants to fund something that we don't have the capacity to oversee or add anything other than we're giving money to somebody. We're just giving a little more money than we're giving to other people. I don't get it personally.
And I will say, like, I am in agreement with you in its current form, especially. I'm in 100% agreement with you. Everything that I've been learning about fellowship grants from other organizations as I've looked at them for myself, they ask a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a group of people that moves with you and I don't want to say monitors, but that's kind of what they're doing. They're monitoring your progress.
Well, there's a reason for it,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
like,
exactly. No, like
there's an intrinsic piece that kind of gives back and or that somehow we would be supporting that growth. We're not equipped to do that. So
exactly.
I get it. I don't know where it came from, and I think it's taking money away from the people that we have to cut the limits off and say we can't give it. And I will definitely say that in the community I've done a lot of just talking to different people, and people do get really frustrated as to why certain people are getting the grants, certain people aren't. I do think there's a perception problem, and I don't think the fellowships help that at all.
I think that's a really good point. And as I said, in its current inception with the things that we have that go along with it, it does not make sense to me either. I think that we
Where
could.
did it come from? Because it's not part of MCC stuff. Like it's definitely.
I don't know the history of the fellowship grant.
Yeah, I don't either.
Okay.
No, I don't.
I mean, just from things that were said when I came on, I sort of, because I was it Sean who was like, well, you can't take it away because people get mad. It's like, I don't get it. Like,
Mm.
what is it?
People are going to get mad, as you said earlier. Some people feel like they get shorted because they didn't get it 1 year, or I've had to deal with people complaining because they've gotten it for the previous 4 years and then they didn't. And it's
Hmm.
like this is a I understand it, and all I'll say is in its current inception right now, I don't see the reasoning for it either. However, if we're going to have it, like if we bring this up, if we
I
bring this up to Fabian or we bring it to somebody else, and they're like, well, this group is giving us the money directly for the fellowship grants.
I would be very surprised if there's any group giving it. And I would also say, given everything that's going on and all the funding that's being taken out and the insecurity everybody's feeling in this political climate, to be offering fellowship grants that should be going to artists that are, people are really, I would rather give smaller $500 to independent artists in Worcester who would be able to do more with that than just randomly give a larger amount to somebody that we're frankly really not qualified to be even passing judgment on, you know. So I actually feel pretty strongly about it. It really, really bugs me, especially with everything going on now and where people are really struggling and are
Mm.
feeling a lot of insecurities.
And I definitely get that too. Victor, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so I'm reading the guidelines right now,
Okay.
and the guidelines do say on the, let me see, one, two, three, four, five, the fifth bullet, that fellows must have a presentation or exhibition during the 2025 in-person presentation exhibition must take place in the city. So there's also still a public benefit that must take place. I think it just doesn't have to align with a certain project style or the guidelines for the other grant component. So there is an element they have to deliver on.
Okay.
I think we just haven't thought about that or like reinforced it. So
Yeah.
it's already in there.
Okay. Because it's extra admin, so it's something we would have to be doing,
Yeah.
you know.
It
I
seems less of the public benefit like the other grants, more of the this person is working on a certain discipline and building their skill and you show it off.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
can even be virtual. So there's an option there too.
and again, like I'm of the mind that, so if that's already there, then we need to make sure we look at reinforce it, and we really make sure that people are speaking. And I also agree that we should have the admin aspect, that we keep up with these people and just have check-ins. I think because like what would it look like to have, Sarah, who got a fellowship grant, and that's just a random name, but Sarah, who gets a fellowship grant every 3 months, come into one of our meetings and talk about the progress that they're making and what it is that they're doing. Not so that we can like ask questions or grill them about it, but just so it adds to these meetings to remind people of the stuff that's happening behind the scenes. And then they do their final presentation at, say, the grant reception. Meg, as the staff liaison, is that I know you've already doing a lot of stuff like answering emails and questions that people have and doing a lot of the background work for especially during grant season. Like, is that something that can be like having a check-in or a monthly or bi-monthly check-in or something from you, where you just kind of connect with the person who has the fellowship and be like, hey, like here's the check-in, how are things going, and then like letting us know how things like, is that something that we can ask of you in that case, or?
Probably. I mean, I don't see why not.
Okay. I just wanted
Uh,
to make sure I understand like all that we have like kind of available to us.
mhm. Yeah, well, it's kind of reminding me of like the fact that there's, the project grants have to have a final report at the end of it.
That's
And
also
um, if that's kind of what you're getting at, then I can send those emails out and like, because I think that's what I'm going to be doing at the end of the year, is reminding people to send out their final reports. So we
yeah.
can do that with fellowship stuff too.
Well, we should probably be sending out those emails to people a couple times. Like I've been encouraging every person I've talked to that have already done their events to just send you stuff now. so that
Yeah, that's good.
waiting. Good. Okay. Yeah, because I think getting things sooner is going to be better. But yeah, this is just something, and I'm going to, like, if somebody else has anything they want to add to this, I want to hear it. But this is just something that I would love for us to start talking about again in regards to what it is we're doing, and does this suit, like, is this something? Because, like, I think Jenny's asking a good question. It's like, is this something that we still should be doing? Like, do we need to take a step back and be like, why are we doing this? And I appreciate that. I will say, as to this coming up grant cycle, this is not on the minutes, but just so everyone knows, it does look like once we go through our initial phase of grant giving or deciding for this year, for the 2026 year, there's going to be another group, Greater Worcester Community Foundation, that's going to take I don't want to say reject pile, but the people who didn't get it, who may not have gotten the grants from us, they've got a collection of money that they're going to be giving to that batch of people. So they're going to be choosing people out of that as well. So we're going to see more people getting grant funding for the 2026 year. Like,
Is that something they're going to advertise? And is that something we should be advertising? Is that?
that's one of the reasons why I haven't really said much out loud about this, because I know I talked to Fabian about it and he brought that up to me, but I need to talk with him to figure out how much we want to advertise that and push that.
And Fabian's been talking with GWCF about this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It's connected to funds from, I want to say it's from ARPA funds that are being moved around that still are existing, and it's a way to help.
The ARPA funds? Oh my God.
I think I know it's to some other group. Meg, do you know what that could be, or no?
I don't know. No, I haven't been.
I thought they
privy
expended
to that.
in last year because they went out at the end of August.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think it's still just some funding that's sitting around, and like people are wanting to make sure that it gets spent and it doesn't have to go back to its
Interesting.
source. So,
Wow. Okay.
but once I get more information, I'll definitely be letting everybody know for that. But does anybody have any other questions or things that they want to talk about with fellowship changes? And the next thing is changes to applications. But anybody with fellowship changes? No? Okay. Next thing we've got is changes to the applications. I know we've already talked a little bit about this tonight. But does anybody have any thoughts that they want to bring up about the applications outside of what we've talked about?
About changing the actual application, do you mean?
Yeah, that was on the that was also on the agenda for tonight. But we already talked a little bit about it. But
I mean, do some changes. I'd be happy to take a crack at it, but I don't know how that would work.
Okay. Well, then we'll do this. You and I can talk like offline, and I'll figure out again that what we talked about earlier, like what's a necessity from the state, what's a necessity from the city, and then what has been added from previous arts councils that we no longer need.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. And then we can bring any changes that we know we can make for this initial one. We'll see if we can meet up sooner rather than later, so we can bring it up for a meeting before we send the applications out.
That's awesome.
So then we can have some immediate impact for the 2026 year, and not just wait till 2027.
Love it. Yeah.
I was gonna ask, it's not related to the application itself, but I know we made like a game time decision last year to like change the number of people who were funded. It'd probably be good if we did that earlier instead of doing that again. Because I think we like moved 500 here, moved it there, and we were able to
Oh
get
yeah.
yeah. So if we could figure that out, that way there's no questions on our part when the next application goes out.
And honestly, what you're talking about was, funnily enough, it involves the fellowship recipients. So we were having a debate on how many people should get fellowship grants, and that was impacting the project grant numbers. So yes, I agree with you 100%, and I think all these are tied together, as we stated before. Staff updates. I did have a quick question, Meg, too. I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he was doing the he had to switch his project, and we said that as long as it's within the same vein, and we would like to hear it before we make the, give him a yes. But if it's in the same vein, we vote on it. Have you heard back from him at all?
So, yeah, David Dominguez, he
Yes.
wanted to, he was originally going to use the funds for the Salvadorian Festival. That got canceled. And he requested to reuse the funds or redistribute them to the Latin American Festival. But that has also been canceled. So he has not reached out. I was going to reach out to him at some point this week just to ask him. I mean, at this point, I think he just needs to return the funds because I don't think there's going to be any other opportunity for him to use them that's aligns with or similarly aligns with his first project.
And that's really sad. If he has any other ideas, though, when you do reach out to him, I'm happy to entertain it. This is a really rough time, as we've already stated too, for people. And I hate the fact that people have to give up some of these funds because of the federal government. So, but yeah, just reach out to him. Let us know what he says. If he has any other ideas, let him know that we're happy to entertain it. Actually invite him to the next meeting, and maybe we can talk with him. Have like space where he can like speak his piece, say what he's thinking. We can ask questions, and we can make a decision at a later date. But yeah. Anybody or sorry, do you have any other things, Meg, that we need to talk about?
Nope, that was the only one that I was going to bring up. So.
Oh, cool. Okay. Awesome. Are there any other upcoming WAC funded events? I know, did we set up the calendar?
Yeah, I set up a Google Calendar and I sent it out, I think last month.
Okay, cool. I must have missed that. I'll find it later. Cool. Anybody have any other fun events coming up? I know I've got tomorrow there's an art opening at the Worcester State University, Hunky Dory, that's happening. I've got some art pieces in that one. So if you guys are free, you want to pull through, say hello, I'll be there looking at art. And then I know Friday at Arts Worcester, they have an opening as well. I believe that's the one, which is like the show that everybody gives like the one piece that they want to see in a show. So that's always a fun show over at Arts Worcester as well. But does anybody have any other cool events happening?
I'm doing Much Ado About Nothing out in Hudson. It's Shakespeare in the Park for Arts in the Armory. It's August 8th, 9th, and 10th.
Nice.
And it's donations suggested, so no tickets or anything. So it just bring your chair.
Very cool.
Burncoat Center for Wellness and Arts is doing a children's business fair on Saturday from 12 to 4 at Jomp, which has also got a lot of art components to it.
What was that again? Burncoat Center?
Yeah, Burncoat Center for Wellness and Arts, which is they're actually the only refillery in Massachusetts, and then they do a lot of creative stuff. So they've got children, I don't know how many actually, probably quite a few, that are selling things that they've made, worry dolls and selling baked goods and other things that they've created.
When is that happening?
That's on Saturday from 12 to 4, and it's at Joy Program, so it's at 1 Gorham Street.
All right. I'm really hoping there's a lemonade stand there.
There's supposed to be, apparently.
Nice.
And what was that one art thing that you mentioned, Chris? I just want to get it in a minute.
Oh yeah. So there's the Arts Worcester show that's happening on Friday, and then there's the show at Worcester State University called Hunky Dory.
Friday. and
which
then
we
what's
actually no, we funded that. That is a WAC funded event.
Which
Now,
one, the Hunky Dory or the Art Twister?
the Hunky Dory is a WAC funded event. So that was the
Nice.
one that we funded that had the movie component with it as well. So over the last weekend, I don't know where those balloons came.
Celebrate.
That's real. Oh, it didn't happen.
Professional. All right. So we did fund that. So that is WAC funded, and that's the one with the movie component to it. So this last weekend they were doing filming with the art that's going to be shown at the art show. And they did a short film with a couple moving around and talking about their impressions of the art and their preferred art that they want to invest in, I guess. So cool little movie. They're going to work on the showing of it once they get it edited and put together. But they did some filming for it. You might see me in the background. I did come in for an extra. And yeah, so that is a WAC funded event. All right. Well, if there's nothing else that anybody wants to say, let's go ahead and call this one at 7:04 if I can get a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
If I can get a second,
Second.
and then if I can get it all in favor,
In favor.
and anybody opposed.
Ah.
All right, y'all. Well, thank you so much. I know that